It was hijacked in Karachi.
Over, but the cost has been very high. Many passengers who were on board the plane are in shock. Many have been wounded in the final.
On behalf of Diane and the entire crew, it's a pleasure to welcome you on board Clipper Flight number 73 to Karachi with continuing services to Frankfurt and New York.
And then there was indiscriminate firing. I witnessed.
It left 21 passengers dead.
There's no time to think at that time. That youngest one, who was a very angry young man, he came next to us with a gun pointed at me and he shouted, "What are you doing?" And then suddenly the lights started getting dim. And at one point it was dark. उनकी आंखों में मैंने ये पढ़ा, ये सवाल, that why can't I get on that bus? That I told her, stop doing it. Because you go there and they are going and selling it. They're not using it. I feel deeply connected with my purpose.
घर से मस्जिद है बहुत दूर, चलो कुछ यूं कर ले, किसी रोते हुए बच्चे को हंसाया जाए. There are children and family in India, we call them underprivileged or poor, who starve for food and education. They need support. Fortunately, India is having a lot of such people who work for underprivileged children. Today, our guests belong to one such generous category. She is Mrs. Janki Vasant. Janki Vasant has been doing a wonderful work, a social work for underprivileged children. Her organization Samvedana work for such society. Mrs. Janki Vasant is well-known social activist, continues for 25 years. She has been working for underprivileged children for their education and for their health. She also works for malnourished children for their better health. She has been associated with well-known NGO like UNICEF, Visamo, You Are Unstoppable. Her organization Samvedana serves to society. In 2016, she received very prestigious award, Nari Shakti Puraskar, from the President of India. So let's go meet Janki Vasant and enrich ourselves to do some good work. Janki ji, welcome to Between the Lines.
Thank you so much.
Your work, social work, it gives a lot of experience, different kind of experience, a lot of knowledge also. And the kind of activity you have been doing, it is full of wisdom, and that is what the ultimate objective of Between the Lines, that we want to get a lot of insight, wisdom out of your experience. And we look forward to have a very interesting and insightful conversation. When we talk about your childhood, you belong to a very socio-political family. Your mother was a political person and father was into social work. We want to know what impact and influence you were having while upbringing was going on.
Sure. Before I answer that question, I want to go back when you introduced me about my social work. So I feel कि वो ऐसे समाज सेवा जैसा कुछ नहीं होता है. Social work कुछ नहीं होता है. I do what I do because I enjoy it. I like it. It's for myself.
Okay.
And I find a very deep connection with the work I do, and a joy comes out of it. So I do it.
Okay.
There's no social work that I do.
Okay.
And I take people along. So yeah, it's a win-win. Coming back to my childhood, it's a beautiful memory. I lost my parents actually very early.
Oh.
So that's why I say that it's a beautiful memory which I love to go back to.
Okay.
With a heart which is filled with joy and not sorrow that I lost them early.
Okay.
Because they lived a very full life, and I am happy that they translated that to us, to children. The seeds that come Say if it's a mango seed, then it'll give mango. It's orange, it'll give orange. It's yeah. So it's a structure is defined by the universe. It could be a different style of mango, or if it does not get enough from the environment, water, air, nutrition, it may not come into life. When we human beings, we come into existence as a child, more or less it's the same. And yet we have a mind which is powered by the universal intelligence, and that separates us. So there are infinite possibilities of our manifestation, how we manifest. So yeah, I was there as a child, and that is why the environment is one of the element which impacts where your direction takes you, and an important element. So my father was a social leader, a young leader in college, and he was one of the main leaders for Maha Gujarat Chalwal.
Oh,
You know, in 1960, when
Yes.
Gujarat got independent from Maharashtra. So that was him, constantly with city civic issues and what needs to be done, communal harmony, etc., etc. While my mother was into literature, English literature, and theater. Somehow she got into active politics, and both of us were a team. So from what I remember, our dining table discussions always used to be around their discussions on where is the economy going, what is the global, how is it shaping our country, what are the people benefiting from, and how should we, could be done, what could be the steps done towards empowering life which needs to be empowered in terms of they are marginalized. So, and then they met so many people through their work, so sharing stories of these inspired lives. So these were, could I say, the classroom for nation building. And my sister, my older sister, was a Mongol child. There was no infiltration in those times of mobile phone and television. We were more homebound. Even the friends we had were a family, either at anyone's house. We were connected with the family, not the coffee shop. So the way my sister connected most with me. So I would say that she taught me the lessons of patience and empathy. So I think there was a reason why I was in this family, which was a joint family. Dada, Dadi, we had one more Dadi, and then a lot of aunts and uncles and children and hustle bustle. And it was celebration with a meaning.
I think wonderful. Two things I think I would take from this point. One, today we have the dining time goes with mobile and TV, where you actually given us excellent insight that dining time should be a kind of story time or learning time.
Yes.
One thing, if you allow me to ask, as you say that your sister was a Mongol, I just want to know if anyone in family have this kind of person, how family take this, because this is at times it is a big shock to a family that how they will manage, and especially when it is a girl child. How did you and your family take this in a life?
See, I was 4 years younger to my sister. So, but towards the end, my parents had left, and my sister was with me. And I had a very, very meaningful and close relationship with a girl who never spoke. And still she understood. So certain things transpired, and which told me, I mean, it's a very personal question, but going back to how my family handled. So I was very, very proud that, during those times, my family was a Brahmin family. And my dadi was a typical Brahmin ba. She wanted a boy in the house. And my dada was a doctor. So, but still, so first child was Papu, my sister. Second was me. And my mother, she lost the third child, who was a boy, because of this, the lack of medical facilities and whatever. That was another story. So, and then I had a third sibling, a boy. But because Papu was the first one, you know what my Dadaji did? Because I had 5 aunts led by my ba and another Masi ba, who were all wanting boys. That this girl child, वो एक संत है और इसकी आपको सेवा करनी है.
क्या बात है.
So, you have to talk the language the audience understands. So if they don't understand pure empathy or science, then you tell them a language they understand, which I kind of started respecting much, much later when I realized that how that one statement of Dadaji, and Dadaji used to be always the in hierarchy, the one who sets the standards. And then honestly, that time I used to feel that my sister doesn't understand anything, doesn't speak anything. Still, my father always took her out everywhere we went, even to movies. That time, the only entertainment was going to theaters.
Yes.
So, and she used to speak loudly sometimes in the movies.
Yes.
So it disturbed everyone around. So me and my younger brother, we were like, what are they doing? They don't understand. And then while on the dining table, even if it's told by my ba that Papu has already eaten, he would feed her. And he would do everything for her.
Amazing.
So for my parents, they gave such, she was more important than us in the family. So that taught us a lot, that how to, respect a human life. And a love is not limited to your potential alone, but you're just being there is enough.
Now I realize why Samvedana, because you have born and brought up with that,
Yes,
emotions. And
yes, I feel privileged.
Every human being goes through some bad phase of life, but very few go through a very tragic incident. And for many people, it never goes out of their life. You have also gone through one incident, which was while you were flying and the plane hijacked. If you can just brief us about what was that incident, how did you manage that?
Yeah. So through the life, I learned that tough times are actually very important. We should welcome them, because you don't learn or evolve during your very comfortable time sipping coffee. But when actually you are undergoing turmoil, that is the time when there is a need to break that comfort zone. And that is when you are able to come out of it. Yes, unfortunately, people do fall down, but I think they are opportunities. Challenges are opportunities. So Pan Am happened.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan Am 73.
Team of us from Ahmedabad, because that time we boarded from Mumbai. And we were, after 1 year of preparation with the folk dance group Avishkar, we were excited to perform in the US. It was, and the first time we were going to US. And in those times, it was something.
Yeah, definitely.
And now people really don't care much about it. But during that time, we cared a lot. So it was hijacked.
The hijackers demanded the return of the cockpit
We were
crew
there
within 30 minutes.
17 hours inside the aircraft.
Oh.
And then there was indiscriminate firing. I witnessed 21 brutal deaths
My God.
and 2 deaths of our team members. One was my dance teacher, a choreographer, and the other was a friend who was sitting next to me. So this was not just devastating, but also churned something deep within me, you know. So one valuable lesson was, as I survived, was life is valuable.
But how did you survive?
So I was injured,
Okay.
and it was a very traumatic time, of course. But then that traumatic way in which all of us were trying to escape from the aircraft and finally landed on the through the emergency exit, the wing of the plane. And it was a Boeing, it was a big plane, so it was very tall. And we didn't know, it was adrenalines were high. We were just moving with the crowd, with the chaos, with the screams around us. And but something told me, and the friends, before 4 girls were together. One was very much injured. We were holding her. And something told us that we can't jump.
But
So we
is
went-
where they hijacker were firing or something?
Oh, they did indiscriminate firing after 17 hours because there was no gas. So Nirja was one of our
Yeah.
lead air hostess,
Okay.
and a film
Yeah.
was made on Nirja.
Okay.
And she was the one, a very beautiful soul. She served us so beautifully on the last day of her life.
But
And
what-
she lost her life.
What was happening when they were firing? Were there something in mind that life is over now, or what?
There's no time to think at that time, right?
Okay.
We were there for 15 hours, and yeah, people were very scared. Some people were uncomfortable. There were old people, there were women, there were children. All sorts of things were happening in the aircraft. 4 of them were there, very young, very young. The eldest was, then we came to know, was 22.
Oh,
And one of them was a very, very hot tea person.
my God.
And somehow I love to write. So I took out my note and I was penning down my emotions, what's happening to me, what's right now the situation is.
So while
the hijack was on.
hijackers were playing their game, you were writing something.
It was 15 hours. So what do you do? And then the girl next to me, who unfortunately died, she had just got engaged. And 3 of us were in that age. She was chatting about her recent engagement. And one of the girls, 4 of us, she was extremely scared. So all the time she was sitting like that and just maybe chanting God's name. And we were just looking around and we were talking. And when I started to write, that youngest one, who was a very angry young man, he came next to us with a gun pointed at me.
Oh.
And he shouted, "What are you doing? समझ में आता है आप क्या कर रहे हो? क्या लिख रहे हो? दिखाओ."
My God.
फिर ऐसे करके फेंका उस जो मेरा नोट डायरी था.
What were you writing, if you recollected something?
I was just writing. So that time, my husband now was, we were dating each other, and the family had not accepted this. So I was writing a note that if we never meet again, there could be a possibility. So then, I was writing in those lines. Yeah. So suddenly, after 17 hours, what happened was that they were trying to negotiate with Pakistan. And Pan Am had a protocol that they don't give back their pilots. So they would never give back the pilots. Pilots had fled the plane as soon as they learned, thanks to Nirja, who had pushed a panic button as soon as they entered. Cockpit knew. So they had fled the plane.
Oh.
So they were frustrated. The four of them were frustrated. They took our passports. None of us were pilots. So they lost their battle there. And constantly they were, now Karachi was not in, I mean, they had nothing much in their hands. And all they could do was tactics of mediating, negotiating, time, passing time. Now the gas was over and the AC shut down. And you can imagine
Suffocating.
suffocating. There were about over 223 passengers. And that was over. And then suddenly the lights started getting dim. And at one point, it was dark, pitch dark. And they had asked us to pull down the windows. So there was
Completely
no
dark.
light inside. So I couldn't even see the girl sitting next to me. And that's the time when that man, who was Mustafa, we later learned, he started his prayer. I mean, something which looked like a prayer, Islamic, some prayer. And the very next moment, they started indiscriminate firing. And probably they had very sophisticated guns, which didn't make noise. So I felt something very hot entering my body. And then it was in flashes. Like, then you don't have a time to think. And then suddenly I hear, I mean, my friend was falling on my shoulder, and then we heard people shouting, screaming, getting up, light, because emergency gates were opened, and people were trying to rush out.
The weary travelers, mostly from different corners of the world, had no inkling of the night.
And then we also rushed. We moved with the rush, and when we went out, we saw ourselves on the wings, and we came back again. Because we thought that we can't jump, because I didn't even look at myself. I didn't even register in my head that I'm injured. But I saw my friend who was badly bleeding. So we decided we'll go back. And we came inside, all the way down. She told us that all the way down, there's a chute. It's another exit. You can go down from there if you don't want to jump. We went down, and there was a lot of pull and push because people were coming out, we were going. So we lost each other. Then I was on my own, and it was a very deadly scene to see that chute, that incline. So I just kept sitting there for a bit. Somebody pushed me, so I was down, and then I couldn't get up. And somebody who fell after me, there was a girl. I remember her face distinctly. I don't know her. She helped me get up. I asked her to help me get up. She helped, and then she was walking. I was barely able to walk. She left, because then suddenly those two people, the terrorists, were following, and there were screams. Already there was a lot of chaos, and the screams became 10x because they were following, and chaos was 10x. And this girl left my hand because she was like, I have to save my life. And she left, and I was standing there not knowing what to do. And that's when I see a line of commandos right in front of me, just before the airport, at the end of the tarmac, with black Pathani suit and machine, whatever guns. And they were the commandos of Pakistan. And they were there to protect us. But somewhere deep in my heart, honestly, I got scared of that too. So scared in the back, there was fear in the front, couldn't walk. What? I was like, Janki, what are you going to do now? And suddenly that's when I heard a feeble voice coming from my inside and telling me that, Janki, if anyone can help you, it's you. Just you. You can help yourself. No one is going to come. Put one step forward, put the other. And that voice started becoming louder and louder. And at one point of time, there was a mute button. Like mute happens, everything around me muted. I was just following my inner voice, whether it was some soul guiding me, whether it was God within me who was my consciousness connecting with me, whatever that was, I was guided. And with that guidance, I see that line of commandos. I cross them and I go beyond them. And then there was this airport. And I saw our team members, friends, they were all seated there. I can visually see that sofa, C-shaped. And I went there, someone got up and I sat. As soon as I sat on a sofa, the unmute button, and then I hear all the sounds and then sirens, and there were ambulances, and nobody was talking to each other. Everyone was panic stricken. But there was such a big solace in seeing the familiar faces. And then I was taken to Jinnah Hospital, and I was alone in a room, taken in a room alone. By that time, I knew one leg was very badly injured because of the hand grenade which fell on my friend. And there were a lot of splinters throughout my leg. And the other leg, I had a bullet injury. So, yeah. But what I learned was that life is valuable and you can't take it seriously also. You shouldn't take it seriously, but you have to connect with a meaning, a purpose with your life and live it. Live each day as if it's your last day. You never know.
Very nice.
And secondly, the experiences I had at Jinnah Hospital, at a place which was like our civil hospital, Jinnah Hospital, our civil hospital in 86. I expected nothing and I needed the most because I was in a place where I needed the most. Even our familiar faces were not around. I was all by myself. And there I got this amazing support, emotional support from two resident doctors who came that night. At first, I was frightened. They introduced themselves. One was a Shia Muslim, Mehboob. One was a Sunni Muslim, Farhad. And the way they started talking to me, their love for India was out there. They wanted to know about the cinemas here, the music here, the books I read, my family, my friends, and they made me one family. So I was able to tell them that please help me because I have excruciating pain. Then they helped me with it because they were resident doctors. They did something. And then one of them left, Farhad left. And just to come back with a cup of coffee. By the time he knew I have coffee, toothbrush, toothpaste, and a green set of salwar kameez with green bangles and a green bindi with a sensitivity that probably she's Hindu and she would like bindi.
Amazing.
So it touched me beyond. Then the next day we were there throughout the day, a load of, samajik sansthaye from Pakistan. They were there with their very yummy bakery stuff. One uncle came to see me because he was, my father had used his sources and he came looking for me. And then he offered me a 10 rupee note saying that, बेटियां, हमारे यहाँ बेटियों को पहली बार मिलते हैं तो
शगुन देते हैं।
सगुन देते हैं.
हाँ, amazing.
So it was something. Then my father called because then he knew that I was there, and I couldn't go there because there were no mobile phones, there were no cordless phones, and that man easily said that ठीक है हम बता देते कोई गल नहीं आप ठीक है आप चल नहीं सकते. I was like, oh my God. And these two doctors, they saw in my eyes that that thing that I wanted to fly and go to that call to hear him. And they said, नहीं 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 रुको. Got a bench from somewhere. मुझे उठा के उसके ऊपर रख दिया. पूरा bench उठा लिया.
क्या बात है.
वहां पे ले गए. And that moment, when my father heard my voice, I heard his voice, was the most precious gift I've ever received in my life, which was thanks to those two soulful Muslim young men.
I think word is beautiful.
World is beautiful. And I learned that the meaning of the word secularism. We read it every day in our first page of our textbook. What it means, nothing. But this is everything.
Yeah.
And if at all we need to have any religion in this world, because religion has created the biggest chaos.
True.
It has to be humanity.
True.
Humanity is the religion I believe in.
True. Janki, in 2009, same incident happened. The flight got landed on the Hudson River. It took off from New York. The moment it went on the Hudson River, both the engine got failed, and pilot had to land on the Hudson River. One of the passenger, Rick Elias, he is now very well-known entrepreneur and speaker. He narrated his experience. He said that the moment the flight was getting landed on the river, we were seeing our death. We were on the death gate, and suddenly three thoughts came into my mind. That I wanted to meet my relatives, friends whom I did not meet for a longer time. Second, that somewhere my ego came into the relations with my wife and family and other relatives. And third, after the incident, when we got survived, I was sitting with my girl, and suddenly I again reconnect with that incident. So I was just connecting two dot present and that incident, and then suddenly realized above all, I want to be a good dad. So such incident suddenly becomes a thought-provoking moment. Do you have any such thought? If you recollect this, incident.
So true, so true. I don't say that point like that was a process. You're going through that journey. It's too much happening. But what definitely happens is this: what he realized, that what we live through our body journey is very petty. It's very, very petty. So one thing what happened after that was I constantly there was some inner churning that constantly happened, which sparked a question. So some questions to me time and again, that in this world which is constantly changing, where am I headed? Where are we headed? The decisions I make, the choices I make, are they taking me in the direction where I'm going to more greed, more isolation or suffering? Or is it taking me towards compassion, love, and happiness? So these questions kept leading me. And life moves on. I moved on. I finally married someone I loved. We had children. I used to go and leave my children to the school bus stop. And I always saw that, these children who are with very well dressed with the, uniform and their bags, everything, water bottles, and they are getting on the bus with so much of happiness and enthusiasm. And just right across the road, there are children who are on the footpath, who are barely waiting for something called breakfast. जो उसकी माँ सगड़ी पे शायद सेक के बना रही है. That उनकी आंखों में मैंने ये पढ़ा, ये सवाल, that why can't I get on that bus, or will I ever get on that bus? And then that also kept churning in me. So I find myself very privileged that I came through those kind of experiences, and even experiences back in childhood, where once I was one of the students in the student exchange program, a national student exchange program, and we had gone to Russia, Romania, and Hungary.
Okay.
And that time they were communist countries. It was in early 80s. So before we left, the whole group, we were about 18, as I remember, from all over India. And we met the prime minister, the president, the foreign minister, external affairs, etc. And we were made to understand that we are representing a country. I'm not myself, I'm representing my country. And what are the economies, how they are different, and why we are going there to spread a culture of happiness or a culture of global harmony. And while we were there, we connected with the official people there, common men there, and again came back. And we all, from Maharashtra, UP, Bihar, Kashmir, Gujarat, we all felt so one because we were together and we were representing that country. And when we came back, also we learned, apart from other things, that they had the same struggles, they had the same needs, and it's universally everything is the same. Or whether through my parents' background, when I was younger, I connected with so many celebrities, whether they are from politics or Bollywood, or they were spiritual celebrities. Everything is connected, wherein the need is just one. The need of the human being is just one, which is for happiness. And how we strive for happiness, whether we become self-indulgent in that process, or we are taking people together in that process. So I chose to take people together.
Wow.
And organically things so happened that there was earthquake in the city, and I coordinated Bisamo, the largest earthquake camp, for 2 months. Each day we had 700 earthquake victims. That taught me so much. That these people who had lost their loved ones, lost their homes, and still they were rich. They were rich with hope. And they were rich with humanity.
Amazing thought.
Yeah. So that taught me a lot. And then it so happened that I was with Bisamo kids, and finally founded Samvedana. I found deep connection with children and the purpose of education, that education empowers. So our main purpose of founding Samvedana was through education, how we can give a sustainable impact in the society.
I think I feel that your every decision, be it a Pan Am incident or starting somewhere, that comes from your inner voice, which is something a very strong, characteristics of you as a human being. I think you have already talked about Samvedana, its vision. We would like to know more about Samvedana. It is more about educating children, underprivileged children. What more about Samvedana? What Samvedana is doing?
Probably I started with that thing that we are supporting the underserved communities or marginalized communities. And the tool was education. that is how we began. Started with non-formal education in the slum areas. We had rented a small place, working there, but learned from my grassroots work with them. What are their needs? What are the gaps? They don't know how to read and write. Actually, they know how to copy. If you give them a page, they will copy. But if you will take dictation, they will
They'll
not
not.
write. And they are dropouts. They are dropouts because they have to work. They have to make that additional earning. And also the parents feel that why should we send them to school, because they are anyways earning, and the end goal is to earn money. And a huge gender biases in that community. So when I started with all this, soon realized that I am enjoying my work. I am in a everyday home. Of course, I'm sharing happiness. They are happy, I'm happy. But it was more like building castles in the air without giving foundations. Because telling them stories, feeding them, taking them exposure trips, all that was, yes, very, very good, but not a productive ROI. What after 10 years? And that all I learned through my experience there. So we finally reached out to the municipal school board and shared with them our purpose and wanted to be, I believe that as a NGO, all we are doing is being a catalyst to the system. We're not against the system. We are being a catalyst to the existing system because we are a very large country. The problems are many. And so we need additional hands. And Samvedana is a platform. That is a very clear thing because these kind of things can't be done by one person. And I believe that I feel privileged only for one reason, that I was able to initiate this platform for a whole lot of us who have joined this journey. So अगर अपनी भाषा में बोले तो ये एक यज्ञ है. इसमें आहुति हर कोई दे सकता है. So a lot of people have connected and given their best, and that's how this impact is there. So then we were remedial education in the municipal schools. Here, through the child, we connected with the families, with the mothers, and a whole lot of, because you have to work with the parents if you want to bring a transformation in the child. And then I learned about the whole problem of malnutrition and how malnutrition impacts the brain. Because there were children in the school, we were doing all we could do, and yet there's one child who gets it, and there is another child who would not get it at all. And through my experiential learning, and then learning through seminars and reading, learned that this is the inadequate development of the brain, which happens because of the undernourished or malnourished mother, whether when she was pregnant or lactating, or the child, when the child was a toddler, below 6. And then there is a irreversible thing, pattern of mind. And then the child is a slow learner. So this links with the education. So we also worked in the space of malnutrition, partnering with ICDS and health department for 10 years. And we introduced technology there because we wanted to measure the impact created. And once again, we reached out to mothers. So there our vision was connecting with the motherhood, whether it's the motherhood of the parents of that child or the ladies who are working for the children, Anganwadi workers, helpers. Because it's not a job. A simple job can't bring this type of commitment. It has to be a connection with a purpose. And we had an expert panel of nutritionist, pediatrician, gynecologist, and leaders from the grassroots. And that's how we served food to the malnourished. And we had a whole team working. And by the end of 3 consecutive Sattva, we called it Sattva, Samvedana Sattva drive,
Okay.
which was 100 days each. So after 3 such drives, there would be a very, very prominent fall in the malnourishment level. And our last level was, because we had a technology, we had a software. It told us that out of our all our beneficiaries, 70.6% of our lactating pregnant women or children, they were out of malnourishment.
Amazing.
So लाल में से yellow होता है, yellow में से हरा होता है.
Okay.
So they were in green.
ये सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, ऐसा लगता है आसान काम है. But I'm sure you must have gone through a lot of challenge.
Yeah.
So what are the challenges you have faced?
Honestly, through my journey, I feel I've faced less challenges and more celebrations. Depends where your focus is what I feel. जैसे बहुत simple बात है. हम सब ये, I keep hearing this, that, you know, when it's winters, people want to go and distribute woolen to. Now, then there is a set of people who say that Aito has stopped doing it because you go there and they are going and selling it. They're not using it. Never give it to any food to anything to the person at the crossroad because वो तो धंधा करता है. You know, there are these constant things. I experienced this at the time of Visama earthquake camp because we had so many things and we were giving so many things away. And there were incidences where people were going out and giving it away. But be sensitive about it. Why are they giving it away? Because of the need for bread. They are giving away, which they probably have to.
Yeah.
And this is the third.
Yeah.
And they don't have to eat. So it depends on what your focus is on. Yes, government, working with government was also very challenging because the focus was different. They were more interested in the paperwork. Their priority was somewhere else rather than being on the wellness, welfare. Like I was in Delhi recently for the women's bill in the parliament. After spending one day in the parliament, I realized I was very pro-bill. I was excited that, wow, there is this 33% women participation in parliament, which is a fantastic thing. And when I went through that whole day, I heard the pros and, you know, both sides of the coin. And I heard from the opposition a demand that please tell us we are wholeheartedly for the bill because this women's bill was already passed in 2003 and implemented with the 540 seats you already have. Why not? But what now explain us the design of the bill, the timeline of the bill, when you are linking it with the delimitation issue. And here, the ruling party were not, I did not hear any satisfying answers to those questions, except for the fact that महिलाओं का शोषण हो रहा है और ज्यादा महिलाओं को तक देनी है. उससे अलावा मुझे कुछ नहीं सुनाई दिया. So in the end, when the bill was not passed, though I was so much pro it, I realized that if it is a political agenda and not the welfare of women, which is in the focus, I'm glad that it didn't pass this time.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. So I've got amazing people in the bureaucracy who are setting the policies, and they have the best of intention. Even people with the politics, they have very good intentions at times, but somehow, you know, things when they are implemented, they are diluted and they don't reach. But I met amazing people at both ends, whether they are corporates or bureaucrats or volunteers, interns. They are And I feel privileged that I have this opportunity of this platform
Mm.
wherein they are able to come and learn the lessons of humanity
Mm.
and value of life,
Mm.
purpose of life, which brings them closer to the joy of giving. And so when you asked me that what is Samvedana, who is it for?
Mm.
I feel that it is a platform which
Mm.
brings the so-called two sections together,
Mm.
the privileged
Mm.
and the
Underprivileged.
underprivileged. And when they come together, this alignment,
Mm.
this synergy
Mm.
brings a magic of inclusion.
Amazing.
And this is the purpose of a happy society, because a socio-inclusive, progressive society is what we should bring up our children in.
Amazing. Even even after getting a lot of challenges, why you could do and you can do now also, it's because of your focus. That's what I feel. There is a quote from Mother Teresa, which is somewhere written in on your website. I would like to read this. None of us, including me, ever do great things, but we all can do small things with great love, and together we can do something wonderful.
Beautiful.
I want to know, what are you getting out of it? क्या मिलता है ये करने से?
I feel deeply connected with my purpose when I am with children, who is either a malnourished child who is eating a big blown banana, or a child who is a single mother's child,
Mm.
who is today now become um, um, an architect,
Mm.
or is 180 degrees, because through our project Eklavya,
Mm.
which is for scholarships, we reach out to these children from um, underserved communities through municipal schools. Open entrance tests are given, and those who excel with distinction, I believe that they are the futures
Mm.
which are going to just drown if not given an opportunity. And that's not fair.
Mm.
So, whatever little we can do to create a platform and opportunity again for them, let's do that. And that's how we started. And these children are inspiring us daily, because they are coming from villages, they are coming from slum areas, they have no resources. And that's why we call this project Eklavya. Because without any guru or resources, they have Eklavya achieved the same what Arjun did.
Very nice.
And that is what our children are proving. They are with Air Force, so many of them, girl child, boys, they are engineers, teachers, with finance, BBA, MBA, architect. Recently, one of our girl child passed MBBS.
Wow.
She is our first girl child. Before this, we had a doctor,
Wow.
but this is the first girl child. And she had lost her father in COVID. So lost all her hopes that time. And she became, so, when one child through education uh, becomes empowered through education and gets to employability, it changes everything for that family. And for Samvedana, it's not about, see, money is very essential. That money support is essential. I have no denial to that. But along with them, that we are giving them mentorship, we are giving them workshops around working with your belief systems, working with your vision statement, your purpose of life, your self-confidence, where it comes from, whether it comes from speaking English or getting money, or your self-confidence comes from your within.
Very nice.
So this is what makes social leaders and great human beings who are social leaders. And I think that's my happiness, that if we are doing that, then we are reaching to I'm very happy.
Wow.
I am very happy that we are able to bring people together in our journey towards something which is also making the community richer.
Amazing. If we, see the human psyche, every human being has some or other goal every day. I want to finish this work today. I want to complete 10,000 steps for my health or XYZ. But uh, none of uh, none of the human being think about I want to be happy today. And that's
Yeah.
what I think your objective, and you are serving your objective. You talk about malnutrition. One survey or one statistic says that if we talk about the under 5 years age of children, so underweight percentage are almost 30 to 33%. Anemic children are almost 67%, and nearly one third of world's malnourished children live in India.
Yes, yes.
What is the reason of this having malnourished children?
So malnourishment comes from being undernourished, and unfortunately, so there are two types of malnourished in India now. One is who are in poverty, and when they are in poverty, they don't get enough to eat. There are a whole lot of aspects which are the women. Now, we have seen through our work that women who are pregnant in the families, still they are the last one who are eating. They are not eating in with the family. So all the men in the family, all the other people in the family, they finish the eating, then whatever is left out, that the woman eats. So definitely she is not getting enough nutrition. Second thing about women is they don't value themselves. See, however much I want to give happiness, only if I'm happy I'll be able to give happiness. And if I want to give you respect and love, I need to love and respect myself. So the women, through conditioning of years and decades together, have lost this. They don't respect and love their own selves. Even when it comes to their own child, I think it's very important to first, वो कहते हैं ना in the aircraft that you wear your oxygen mask before giving it to your child. ये वाली बात भी missing है. That's why women miss out when they are pregnant or lactating. And secondly, children, they don't even know. There's so much of education, lack of education, that they don't know what is nutrition, what is malnutrition, उसमें क्या खाना चाहिए. There's a lot of awareness that's now happening through ICDS, through television and all. And one big, huge issue is that 5 rupee and 10 rupee packet of chips, which is available in the market. Because ye ladies jo gareeb hai, they are laborers every day working. When they come home, they've left their children playing there. They can afford a 10 rupee or a 5 rupee. वो blue color का एकदम very very attractive chip ले लेना, or to see that smile on the child's face probably keeps her own guilt a little less. And it's easy. So our work with the community was, we were not just feeding children. We were working with the mothers. We had a manual.
Okay.
Wherein we were teaching them that there are 47% children who are malnourished today. And every 5 minutes, one child is dying of malnutrition. और ये बच्चा जो तेरी गोद में बैठा हुआ है, वो पीला है या लाल है, मतलब वो malnourished है. कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. And that motherhood instinct. A mother will do anything for the child, right? And then we told her that what is good food, what is not good food, what is hygiene, taught them about hygiene and taught these things. And then we used to have these celebrations after every 100 days. And we've heard stories like एक लेडी थी, सो वो बता रही है, मेरे हस्बैंड तो मुझे बहुत प्यार करते हैं क्योंकि मैंने उनको समझा दिया कि आपको केला लेके आना है रोज घर में. आपको पैसा खर्चना है तो ये लेके आओ. So now he gets only fruits at home for my child. He doesn't get chips. So and They learn if you tell them. And then the second problem is with these so-called privileged, that we've completely lost track
Exactly.
of what is nutrition. And the pizza pasta generation today is leading to, I mean, Zomato generation. They are constantly ordering food. I see in my office also, people are constantly ordering and sipping coffee throughout the day. And what are they getting? They don't know what they're doing to their body.
Wonderful. I think you're right.
And it's a market, it's a business, it's a food industry. That is what is killing the and we have to have the right understanding, because our body is important, because it is the tool which takes us through this journey of life towards our purpose, larger purpose. We have to take care of our body.
No, I think that awareness is really important. One last point. As you rightly said, that our generation is living in a quite luxurious life, very comfortable life. What is your message to our younger generation?
So, as the three messages are: value life, you never know that if you or anyone around you is going to see the sunrise tomorrow. So live your life to the best, give it 100%. Second is what I realized, which is the best thing in the world, because in today's world, nothing anyways, nothing is ever in your control. Nothing is in your control. And yet, your inner strength is in your control. So your inner strength, which made me run with both the legs injured, bullet injury and grenade injury, I could run. So my strength is within. It's not dependent on anyone else, as is my happiness. It's not dependent on anyone else or anything else, whether an ice cream or a coffee or a breakups आजकल बहुत होते हैं, उसकी happiness, उसमें मेरी happiness नहीं है. My happiness is within. And also, I think, what's the biggest loss? Death is not the biggest loss. The biggest loss is when you lose, when something dies within you when you are alive. And so keep doing what keeps you alive. And when I say alive, it means, am I adding value to myself, to my being a human? Because I can do infinite good. So am I adding value that? Then I'm alive. Because there's no bigger joy than joy of giving. Right? If I take a foreign trip and come back, I'll be happy for 5 days. After that, it's gone. But if I've done a meaningful work towards someone, then that's going to stay with me forever. So be alive.
Very, very nice learning you have given today. Lastly, I want to say two things for you. The meaning of Janki is Sita, which symbolizes purity, devotion, and inner strength. And that's what I think you have portrayed through your work, your purity of your soul, which is visible through your work. You are so much devoted to your work. And as you keep on telling inner strength, everything has come because of that inner strength. Second thing, there is a bhajan. It's one line I would like to say. Janki Nath Sahaya Kare Tab Kaun Bigada Kar Nar Tero. Janki Nath is God, Lord Ram. So if I summarize your life, you or your character, you are not Janki but Janki Nath for such underprivileged children and family. And I think we really congratulate you for whatever you have been doing, you are going to do, and we really wish all the best for the future for you and Samvedana, because at the end of the day, you are creating a beautiful society, and that is what we need now. So thank you so much for whatever you have been doing for our society, and thank you for giving your time and so much wonderful insights, input, and learnings. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your very, very kind words. But I would like to say that I'm not Janki Nath or anything. I have also made many, many mistakes. I have learned from my mistakes. I've also distracted from my path. I have also gone through a lot of struggles. But yes, something that's within me keeps bringing me back. And that is something which everyone has. And I was privileged to have wonderful family. My family is my strength. They have been always there for me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was very enriching session with Mrs. Janki Vasant, a social activist. But rather she says that I am not social worker. I am doing because I want to be happy. Happiness is my purpose and I'm getting happiness out of my work. Very beautiful learnings. First, she said, inner strength and inner voice. Hear your inner voice. Ultimately, whatever you want to do, that comes from inner voice. So connect to your inner voice. Value your life. We all know anything can happen tomorrow. So value your life and have focus on your work. While talking about her childhood, she said, dinner time. Very important point that we all should have a dinner time, having a lot of good discussion with our children, with our family, talking about what is happening around us, what are valuable things, what should we do. This is ultimately a creative time for all of us and for our children and for their better future. And third thing, she said, be live. Keep doing some or other work, some or other skillful activity. Ultimately, it will help you to move on in your life and you will get happiness. Beautiful learnings, insightful session. We are thankful to Janki Vasant and we are thankful to you for connecting to Between the Lines. Stay tuned and keep watching Between the Lines and do not forget to read Between the Lines. Thank you.